This video is for teachers that will be teaching grade 9 science D-stream in Ontario. I'm presenting a resource I've created on sustainable ecosystems and climate change so that you can, so if you are new to the teaching world, you'll have resources that you can use in your classroom. If you have taught for a few years, it will give you ideas on how to make your class even better. And for people, veteran teachers, give you ideas. And if it happens, you have any suggestions, I can even improve on this, please tell me. The whole idea here is that this summer, I spent some time, I reread the curriculum. I decided to see if I could start from scratch some resources. I've been teaching for 25 years. I do change things every couple of years, and this summer I wanted to take some time to do so. If you're a student and you are coming and seeing this video, keep in mind that I will be creating videos for students as schools will start. So now this is August 25th today, 2026. In 2 weeks, we're back in class, and I'll be starting videos for you with the resources we have here. So let's see what we've got. So this is a resource I created in the last couple of weeks, and I created those in French because French the science class study in French is the one I usually do, but I've been doing teaching in English as well. So I decided to take my French resources and put them into English. So let's see what we've got. So this from this summer, there are new changes in the grade 9 science curriculum. The minister is mentioned to us that we will be having more participation in more activities in class, or at least we will account what their students are doing, and it will be reflected in their mark. So you'll see that within this resource, I've added some activities for all of them. You will also notice that, the information here for grade 9 here is assess the impact of climate change on ecosystem sustainability and demonstrate the understanding of the dynamic of interconnected nature of ecosystems. And you'll see, so before I start teaching concepts of grade 9, I decided to take about maybe 10 pages to review concepts that students have learned in grade 6, 7, and 8 about concepts that we'll be looking at in grade 9. And the reason for that is the following. So often students may have forgotten what they've done in grade 6, 7, or 8. Some students they need some reminders of what concepts were seen in grade 6, 7, and 8. But also in Ontario, there's so many new immigrants coming in, new students coming to our classes, students coming from different provinces to us, that sometimes students have not received the learning opportunities to know all the concepts. So the review for grades 6, 7, and 8 allows them to get back into the framework of learning. Second, it allows new immigrants to look at the vocabulary and better understand what's going on, especially if English is not their first language, but it's just their second, third, or sometimes their fourth language. You'll notice that the way the resources are, there's a section about let's think, where students will do brainstormings, and then they can share to the class what they can remember. So here is just remembering what biodiversity was and climate change. So that's not very complicated, but it allows students to start thinking about science, but also starting to work with each other to collaborate to the classroom learning environment. Now, in grade 7, we have living system and sustainability in ecosystems. So for this one here, they look at the food chain and food network, and that's what we're working with for the review. In the curriculum, so this is new because when the new curriculum came up in 2022, this was information that I remember was taught in grade 9. Now it was moved to grade 7 to give more time for grade 9 teachers to work with other topics. So you'll notice that I add all kind of photos related to the topics for discussion. So this one is about the fact that our schools are a great place for as ecosystems. They're sustainable ecosystems. That's why some schools have happened over many years. Students come in, they learn, and then once they're done their progress in that school, they go to the next step of their lives. It's always good to look to use their previous learning and how they feel about their lives to contribute to the class. We have some definitions with what we need here, and I have added graphics and images in the resources. I've used, instead of creating them, I decided this summer to practice with Gemini. So some of those are done by Gemini Notebook. So this was an infographics that I created. The issue though is that Gemini Notebook allows us to do 2, maybe 3 infographics, and then all the credits are done for the day. So I started with Gemini Notebook and then continued with Gemini only when I ask, instead of infographics, I asked for images, and it solved a lot of issues. So this one here is about abiotic and biotic factors. And I asked students to take information from the graphs or the infographics to fill in the table. Now, the visuals are important. Visual is great for reviews, but also good to simplify the information. And for students that have English as their second, third, or fourth language, it helps them to see images to understand what's happening. Very nice. We have here an activity. So another style of activities are let's go outside. So this one gives an opportunity for students to go outside to take some photos and then bring the photos back to the classroom. I always like these activities. I usually have, so for my class, I have Google presentations, but you can use PowerPoint or other software. You make it so that students can add their photos and add some write-ups, and then they share with each other the information that they've seen. It's great for a review of the vocabulary. It's amazing for students to get to present in the classroom what they have learned. It's great for review, and they can use it for when they have any evaluations in the future. So that's always a great thing. I also added some photos created by, or images created by Gemini, some personal photos to explain what we are mentioning here. Here's another example of let's think. The idea here is that as students are getting to search about specific topics, come up with their own definitions, their own understanding, and then sharing to others what it is. It's a great way for students to get to learn and master the topics. For example, here I'm asking them to give us examples of competition in different situations. So this one could be a Google presentation. It could be small whiteboards where they draw something. It could be small posters. It could be a 3D model. The whole idea here is that to give a chance for students to use what they've learned in the past and share to the class their understanding of the current part. So review for grades 6, 7, and 8 is almost a whole first week of the unit. And you're going to say, why would that be important? So this one is the first unit for the semester. It will allow me to do all the games and activities for students to get to know each other, to feel comfortable with each other, and be able to be active participants in the classroom. Very nice. Another one here is about, let's do a little search on invasive species. So the first two, the emerald ash borers and the phragmites, these are 2 invasive species that I can find examples around my school. That would be a great way for us to go outside and see things for ourselves. This is a review from grade 7. We have the food web, looking at vocabulary. We have images here. It will give a chance for students to remember what are food webs and what are food chains, and they'll be able to give specific examples from this drawings here. There's always a question on the evaluations about food webs, even if they're in grade 9. Grade 8 topics, it's about the water systems. Now, because we're looking at the cycles of matter in grade 9, the first one is the water cycle. So I use a great review here. It gives a chance to remind the students what is a cycle, and then have a better idea of water cycle, what is going on with the rain, with water, and how it is affecting our ecosystems. So here we're lucky this year in Ontario, at the end of the summer, It's not too hot, and we have rain fairly often. However, when we go into June and July earlier, it was very hot, very dry. So there's a variety of situation, and we have the forest fires in Ontario and Canada this year, and mostly because the water cycle has been affected through climate change, and that's all part of the discussions. Here there's a game with we put the words in order, some space here for them to draw if needed. So here I get to page 10, and this is when we're going to start the grade 9 concepts. And the reason why it took so long is just to make sure that students feel comfortable in the classroom, feel like they're active collaborators, so that they can continue to be part of active collaborators in our classroom. So here it will be during week 2, and we talk about our environment and climate change. And the first information I share is about forest fire that we've done, that we were victims this year. And I started with information from summer 2021 all the way to summer 2026, just to share with them that forest fires is something that has been ongoing for the last 10 years or so. And just show that it's affecting not just us, because in July this year, we had in mid-July, a couple days where we had the smoke from Northern Ontario all the way to the Toronto area. However, just for the students to be able to share the experience on that, and to have students recognize that people have been affected. And on this, I'm adding to the fact that Indigenous people have been affected quite a bit as well. First Nations, Métis, as well as First Nations in the territories. I have some link here about Fort McMurray. So big forest fire in 2016, what happened a year after, and how it is right now. I also have a map here of the current forest fire. So that one here dates to August 22nd. So as you can see, I just finished putting in this final version here, and this is the photo I have there. So when you're teaching your class, the image will look completely different, especially if we are going into the fall or the winter. So this is the information about Toronto, where I live. Very nice. So here, another little research here is to find photos of harmful effect and consequences of climate change in Canada and around the world in the last 30 years. So here it gives a chance for people to look at the droughts, also as inundations due to all kinds of changes in climate over the world. I will also, and the reason why it's in Canada, because we have Canadians that have been in our classrooms for a generation or two, but also for the new immigrants that have new experiences that they can share with us in the classroom. Then again, they will do small research and then share with the class. Now, the reason why I like to do these little search is that it gives a chance for students to be working on their own in teams if they want to, gives me a chance to circulate in the classroom, talk with students, ask questions, help them if needed, and if there are some people that need to catch up on evaluations or such, it is important for me to find time for them. Another part of what we're doing in grade 9 this year is to look at the 4 major spheres that are affecting the way we are organizing the environmental data. We have the hydrosphere with the water cycle, the atmosphere. We also have the lithosphere. So here we have a text where students need to read a little bit more. And instead of asking questions about the information, they have to complete this Venn diagram with 3 circles, and they can share the differences and what is common to the 3 spheres that we've mentioned earlier. And that will lead us to the biosphere, that is also including the 3 circles here to be able to survive. Good. I do like geology, so I did hear a small information about the similarities about forest fire. So it is localized here in an environment, and we have ecosystems being altered compared to here. This is the Mount St. Helens eruption from 1984 or 89. where we can see the Mount St. Helens here with the plume and the difficulties that the ecosystems have lived. Some parallel here showing that environmental situations can affect ecosystems very, very quickly and detrimental. So you could see here all of the biosphere is affected in those environments. Very nice. So here are the different cycles that we have to learn this year. There's the carbon cycle here. We have also through the carbon cycle, we're going to do a good review and a good teaching about photosynthesis. I always tell students that I want them to remember or memorize this equation because it will come up again in the chemistry units. We also have the cellular respiration that works nicely. And interestingly enough, Jim and I could not, there's a mistake on this part here. I could not repair it. I tried it 5 times and I decided to put here a small game at the fact that let's find the error on this image. I thought it would be a fun game and it makes it easier for me. The other cycles that we will be looking is the nitrogen cycle right here. Perfect. Now, the 4th cycle is the phosphorus cycle. Now, keep in mind that we are doing these stream classes. So there's a variety of students with different levels. So here, and different language skills as well. So for the phosphorus cycle, I usually keep it last for students that understand the first 3 very easily. And it gives a good idea, a good aspect of what is the importance of potash for the agricultural economic sector and also the economy of Canada. So that's something I usually get the few students that are ahead, an extra information that they can learn, and they can talk about eutrophication in lakes due to fertilizers used in agricultural setting. So this is a 4th cycle. If I don't have time, I don't talk about it. People that are ahead, I do so. This one is a hit and miss depending on the years. We also look at the food pyramids. So even though we looked at the food chain in the class, we're going to look at the pyramids and food web. Here we talk about energy, and there's a bit more math about it. And it's about the fact that only 10% of the energy goes to the superior level. So here we talk about joules for the pyramids of energy, the pyramid of numbers, and pyramid of biomass in kilograms. I'm sure they will understand the difference, and keeping in mind that if you are in the industry, in politics, that's the type of, and in science, that's the type of information people are using. And these are also from the terrestrial ecosystems, and they have similar pyramids in the aquatic ecosystems as well. What's the next thing? Okay. Sustainable and climate change. Okay, so for this one here, we are the last couple slides a bit more what is happening in 2026. So I look at the Canadian population clock. I share with them how the population has changed since 1867, beginning of our country, at about 3.5 million people, all the way to now about 42 million people, and how the timeline is getting smaller and smaller for every new 10 million people we have in our country. But that means that if we have more people, our carbon footprint is much bigger. The quantity of food we need it's much bigger. The number of housing projects that we need and housing is important. We need to increase that. We need also more water. We create more waste. So these are all part of what we are discussing for this part. This graph here is about the population by year of the planet. So here it shows that 1700, there were about 500 million people, and we have about 8.6 billion people right now. I do talk about the fact that when I was born, and for me it's not that long ago, there was 4 billion people on the planet. So that means that the population has doubled since I've been alive. and I'll talk about my perspective on this one, and then try to talk to the students about their perspective about where, if they are from other areas, and their experiences when the density of population is different. And that brings us to the last activity. So let's see. Very nice. So the last project, let's see. Perfect. All the extra topics at the end, I put them into a raft project. So this is something I've used in my language classes, where students pick a role. So they will be a grade 9 students in a science class. They'll pick an audience. There will be people that are either their age or older, and they are picking the format they want to present their project, and then they look at their topic. With respect to the format, here there's a variety of activities. Now, some of you will say, well, it's not quite related to science, but here we're looking at students learning about science and communicating what they've learned. So the first three are easy. We've got posters, infographics, and Google presentations, and I have timestamps. They can do trifold displays if they like science fairs and they want to get used to it. Some people that prefer to write, they can write a research paper. They can create a video if they prefer. They can create a web page. A lot of people are creating their portfolios even as young as grade 9, and therefore it's great for them as well. For the artists in heart, if they can create a poem or tell a song about what they've learned. That I haven't. Oh, the last time I had a song was probably 15 years ago. The person spent so much time with all the topics and had brought a guitar and sang the song in class. It was amazing. And then here, some people may want to have a small documentary. So sharing information, especially that they can be used in ads, like activism and such. It could be a role play. If they could be two people in a situation where ecosystems and climate change are important. Could be a human, politics, constructions, people in economy, companies. There's a whole bunch of different parts there. That's another one for the artists at heart. Could create a vlog if they wanted to, or a letter to a minister about a topic. And the topics are in many folds. So these are all the key topics for the grade 9. Now, when students will be presenting in class, I will, after their presentations, during their work, I will always follow them along so that they can include in their presentation topics that I want them to have, especially that I want students to know or to have encountered in the classroom. So that's important here. And people are saying, how will I set it up? Usually, I will most likely give the project at the end of week 1. And by the time we go to week 2, they will have picked their project and already started to do their research. In week 3, I'm going to give 2 or 3 days in class for them to finish the research and start putting together the visual or what they will use for their presentations. And week 4, we're going to do presentations of topics from the students, as well as me completing some of the topics that have not been picked by students, so that the students will know all the parts. So if you look at the idea here, it's the health of ecosystems and population growth, climate change. It will be here about aquatic ecosystems, the food industry, everything about agriculture, making sure that we have enough food for our country. Could be ecosystem health and forestry, mining, and globalization. Oh, I just put it 2 words that are the same. I'm going to take it away. As you can see, they are growing resources. And also the other one is about air qualities. And for people that have ideas, they can have a project on environmental stewardship in the area, restoration, or a biological control of something that might be of interest to them. The idea here is to give students a chance to take a topics they like or they're interested in and share information to the class. And this is the resource I have for you. So if you are interested, I will put the link below where you can purchase the resources. For people that have will purchase the resources, I will share with you updates. So the update here is for August 2026. I will give, every time I will update the information, I will send to teachers the update semester by semesters so that they have the latest version. And you're going to say, why did I decide to create resources? And because a friend of mine is having a friend with a new teacher, and I thought that new teachers always appreciate new resources. And because the Minister of Education wants us to revamp a little bit our courses, I decided to do such this year. And on top of that, the Ontario government is trying to promote entrepreneurship, and this is my way to figure out, okay, as a teacher, what can I learn from this new? What can I learn from this new curriculum from 2022 or from this environment? So what I've decided to work with is to use AI to create visual, looking at how I can set up a place where I can earn money to help teachers, but also to learn to be an entrepreneur so that students that have questions about entrepreneurship can learn from me. For the same reason that I'm creating videos on YouTube because I'm asking my students to do videos. I've done podcasts because I've asked my students to do podcasts. And I never asked my students to do something I've never tried. So on this, if you have any comments, put them in the comments below. If you noticed any typos, you tell me. And then I'll edit the resource. If there's something you would like to see in the resource, please tell me, and I'll be more than happy to include and grow these resources for the teaching community. On this, have an excellent day, and I will put here another video that will be important for you. See you there.